house, and the rest is history. That's another video for another time. Just know 9 months later your girl was engaged. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Faith Family Finance. So for today's video, I'm actually going to be getting ready, and I'm also we're going to be talking about my story. We're going to be talking about my story on how I moved about 6 years ago from Philadelphia to Houston, Texas with a 22-month-old baby, y'all. Fresh out of college, knew nobody in Houston, and I'm going to be sharing my story, and then at the end of the video I'm going to be giving you some tips if you're deciding to move to a brand new state, to start a brand new life, and you're just moving by faith and by hope, because that's what, y'all, that's all I moved on, was a promise and faith. That's it. So and when I say a promise, I mean a promise from God. That's it, promise and faith. That's all I moved on. And yeah, so I'm just gonna be getting ready and sharing my story with y'all. Yeah, so I'm gonna actually do my hair first, and then I'm gonna start my makeup for the day. I'm actually working from home, so that's what I'm gonna be doing. Let's start with the hair, and then we're gonna move on to the face. So y'all, I moved from Philadelphia I moved in 2016. I graduated college, and I moved with my baby. My baby was 22 months old, 22 months at that time. He was a year and a half, and I moved like right out of college. Like it was 2 weeks later, I just moved to a new state. So before I moved, I knew I wanted to move, like getting out of college. I prayed about, that's all, y'all, that's all I can say is I prayed about it. And I was between two states. I was actually between California. I wanted to move to California so bad, I don't know. And I was between Texas. So Atlanta used to be on my list. So when I had got pregnant, I was like, I remember, okay, I'm a planner. I remember when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, I'm moving to Atlanta. I'm gonna finish school. Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna see me. You know, that was like a guilt and a shame talking, right? That was just shame trying to, put fear into me, you know, make me feel so shameful of getting pregnant before marriage and getting pregnant while in college. And I had a whole Atlanta plan, and then it changed. I was like, nope, I'm gonna have this baby. I knew abortion was never a part of, it was never a thought that came to my head. As a Christian woman, I knew that was not an option for me. So I was like, I'm gonna have this baby. You know, now the planner is coming into me, right? I'm calculating the dates. Maybe I don't need to keep doing fashion and merchandising. So I was doing fashion merchandising major, and also I was doing accounting because I wanted to be a stylist and work in the business of fashion. So everything switched. I was like, I don't need to do fashion. I'm gonna stick to accounting, and I'm gonna take on finance. So I ended up majoring finance, and then I took accounting as a minor. And then I was like, I need to do extra credits, so I stay at school. I stay on campus for that whole year. I mean, I stay on campus longer over the summertime. Instead of going home for the summer, I stayed and took some classes. And then after that, I left campus in like June, at the end of June, and then I had the baby in July back home in Philadelphia. I had him, and then I stay at home. After having him. Classes started in August. I took 3 more credits. I took 3 more classes, matter of fact, 3 more classes right after having the baby, right? So it was July he was born. August I was in school. I was online at that time. I was doing online classes while taking care of him. And then when he turned 6 months in January, you know, it was just, now that I go back and think about all these things, it was really God's plan and God's timing. Like this, now think about the timeline. Like July you have the baby, August you can go back to school, January you can go back to school, 6 months later I go back to school. And mind you, most colleges don't have daycare on campus, but my college had a daycare on campus. When we first went back, when he was 6 months, that's when I took him off breast milk, because I knew, you know, I was about to go back to school and our whole schedule would be different. It would look different than what he's always been so used to me, just in the room. We were always in the room, was home in the room together, taking care of him, doing schoolwork, taking care of him, doing schoolwork. So now I was still going to be taking care of him, but I'm going to be sharing him and I'm going to be sharing my time. So organization skills, understanding time management, and all these things started playing a huge role in my life at this point, because now I'm a mom, I'm a college student, I'm all these things. And so after the transition, yeah, I'm just gonna do a regular ponytail because I need to wash my hair. So I'm just gonna do this ponytail. So after the transition, after he gets back put on daycare, you know, and then another thing, because God always gonna get the glory through every story I tell, because he is the finisher. He's the beginning and the finisher. I didn't do anything in this story, so I didn't put that daycare on campus, and I sure did not put that daycare close to the business college. So again, I'm on college campus, and the daycare is right there, and my business college is right there. So when I leave class, I could go and visit him, like I could see him. One thing I like about the daycare and our on campus were they had a green room, so you can go in the room and you can look at your child without them seeing you, so you get to, you know, see what's going on, see how they're playing with other kids. And it was such a relief for people anxiety with their kids, you know, leaving people with their kids, because I know for sure I had that anxiety. So that was a huge relief for me to be able to do that. And then what else? What other milestone we had in college? Kenneth he knew so much people in college just from going to the daycare. You know, like some students would go there, and especially like child development majors, they would go there to like I would just say intern or something, internship. They would go to daycare to help out with the kids. So he knew a lot of people. I remember like I would walk with him on campus and people were like, "Hey Kenny," and I'd be like, how do he know these people? So he was a college baby. And you know, my friends, the church, on campus, everybody was just so helpful. His dad came back on campus and helped with him. Everybody was super, just a blessing, very a blessing. Well, I am not codependent. I need people. I mean, I'm not independent. I need people at all times. I need Jesus and I need people. And I'm so blessed that I'm able to have people in my life. It may not be a lot of people, but I'm grateful for each individual that I had in my life and I have right now in my life. So, you know, I was able to graduate. In 2016 on time, y'all. So I wanted to graduate. I went to college in 2012? Is that what it's called? Yeah. 2012, okay. I'm like 2012. 2012, I went to college and I wanted to graduate my year that I'm supposed to graduate, 2016, and that baby wasn't gonna hold me. But I tell y'all, my brain, I know God be like, girl, but it was a part of his plan. It was like, you know, like when you walking in God's plan, life is so much easier, right? Because you don't have to do things the hard way. Even if you do things the hard way, he's like redirecting. He's always constantly redirecting me and redirecting us. And going back to school, y'all, I'm not even gonna lie, that thing was tough. I remember nights when I had to go to school. I'm a library girl, coffee shops girl, to study. And I remember, like, I like to change my environment. I remember like late nights, like even my graduation in 2016, I didn't attend my main graduation because I was exhausted, y'all. I was up that whole night doing like studying for finals and all these things. I was so exhausted. I was tired. So I only attended my college graduation. I didn't attend the big ceremony. This day I never seen I haven't even seen my diploma yet. Did I really graduate college? I know my family has it in Philly, but I just never seen it. But I was so tired, y'all. It was tough, and like moving with the baby. Again, 22. He's 22 months old. We were moving to Texas, a whole new state. Don't know anybody in Texas. At that time, I didn't even know I had family. You know, it was just people was like, oh, you know your aunt, you know this person's here, you know that person's here, but I didn't really know them and stuff. So moving here is for a whole year, y'all. I can truly say I went through depression. I don't want to diagnose myself with anything, but I remember I was just so sad. Like, I would just cry and I would just pray, and I was so hopeful. God was, I was so hopeful, and I was just, can you imagine? It's one thing when you move by yourself, you know, you can figure it out, right? I brought my car, I can figure it out. I can drive here for a job, I can drive. But when you're with a baby in a whole new state, knowing and not knowing anybody, you have to look for a babysitter. First of all, you have to watch, you have to trust. Like, I remember at one time I phoned a babysitter. Again, this is God. Yo, the Holy Spirit led me through all of this, y'all. And I remember I had to look for a babysitter, and I looked on Craigslist. Yes, at that time I was like, I needed a babysitter. Daycares was super expensive. I didn't have a job. I was still in the process of looking for a job. I didn't have my connect. Everything was back home. Like, I was doing an internship that was going to offer me a full-time position after leaving, but I knew that I was called to leave, and I had to maneuver around. I remember going on Craigslist and finding this babysitter, and 2 days later bringing her to my son. Was it one day, like the next day or something? And oh my gosh, Miss Tiffany was so sweet to my baby. Yo, it was just prayer, man. She was so sweet to him, and I would go there, go to the house, like I knew her family. Like, I have on Facebook now, like all his babysitters he had, and people that watched him in his life. You know, I'm so grateful. I had a whole family that had him at their house for free. They helped me out so much, and you know, I'm forever grateful, y'all, because it's so tough. And then so 2016 we moved to Texas. Come 2017, it's a hurricane. What? It's a hurricane. Hurricane Harvey happened in 2017. My family was like, why are you still in that state? I was like, I don't know. I just knew God was doing something. I don't have an answer to why, because if it was my plan, I was trying to get out of there. Like, I was looking for out of state jobs. And then I was in the process of just looking for a job. Like, I was looking for a job for a whole year. Like, I would do contracts here, contracts there, but I needed a stable job. I didn't have health insurance. Like, it was so many things I needed to put in place for us. And y'all, it was tough. So I remember my family's like, why are you still in Texas, y'all? So we had to leave our apartment. Oh, I forgot to say, like, when I moved to Houston, I stayed in like the hotel for like two or 3 days, and then we got our apartment with one of my cousins that I knew here. So we shared the apartment together. We got a 2-bedroom, and apartment really didn't get destroyed by the actual hurricane. So it was a lot of people that got flooded, though, I remember. But they had opened up the reservoir that was next to us, and the next morning I woke up, cars are flooded. Good thing about my apartment, I'm grateful again to God, because our apartment had a parking garage. So I always parked like on the 3rd floor in the parking garage, and I lived on the 3rd floor, so my apartment didn't get affected. None of my things, you know, we just didn't have water. I remember not having water, or flushing the toilet, or taking a shower, you know, just little things. But I would cook, you know, stuff for us to eat. And I remember like waking up the next morning, I was like, what is going on? Like, I mean, like, it was just 2 cars. It was like 3 cars, and we were also next to like the Enterprise car business, right next door. So you could see, I could look on my balcony and see the Enterprise. All the cars in the parking lot was flooded. Those 3 cars that was parked in front of the apartment was flooded. Like, I was like, what? We was in a mid-rise apartment, and I'm like, what is going on? Next thing I know, like, they're trying to like evacuate people out of the apartment. We are in a speedboat. Yo, I'm like, what? We're pedaling on the boat, like. When I tell you, my baby went through a lot of change. When I sit back, he'd be like, "You remember this, mom? You remember that?" I'm like, yo, you really went through a lot. Like, you went through a lot with me, huh? You really did went through a lot. And what else was I say? And I remember, like, me and my 5 minutes makeup. Yeah, so they happened to get us, and we had friends at that time that offered, us to go there for like a couple of days. And then my aunt, that I finally knew now in Texas, was like, come to the house. She was so like, oh, my aunt is so awesome. She was to come to the house, so we stayed there for like, probably stayed to my aunt's house for like a week. Then my now husband, we had mutual friends in Texas, and they was like, hey, he is next door. So Sam lived next door to my aunt, and I never knew. When I tell you this is what I'm saying. God, I'm gonna keep putting God, because God is in all of this story. God was really doing his thing. Like, how random is it that my aunt, that I knew, when I first moved, I didn't know she was here. Family was telling me she was here. Finally met her, that she lived like 5 minutes away from my husband. Like, and I used to think my aunt lived like in the middle of nowhere, because I was all the way on the other time. I was in Single Ranch. If you're from Texas, you know that area. I was in Single Ranch, and my aunt is in Cypress. Those two places, like, I remember I went to her house like twice before. I was like, this is far. Like, Texas in general, I had to get used to it. The driving. I'm in the organization. I remember the day before Harvey, God's working. This guy that I met was like, hey, I have an organization, a Liberian organization. I would like for you to come and see. And one thing about me, one thing I got people, or built my tribe on in Houston, was based on volunteering and serving, even if it's serving in church or just serving in my community. That's how I met a lot of people, because in doing what I love to do already, and that's how I met my husband, doing what I love to do, or what I was called to do, which is serve. So the same mutual friend, that day I met Sam. It was like August 20th or something. They had a meeting. Harvey happened like August 24th, right? So I just met this person August 20th, August 24th, Harvey's happening. And I'm probably saying the date, but I know it was like four days. It wasn't far apart. And he was like, so they all was over at his house. They was like, we're over here for the storm. Like, it's a storm, nobody got work and stuff. Like, come on over. So we go to the house, and the rest is history. That's another video for another time. Just know, 9 months later, your girl was engaged. That's another story for another time. So I'm actually gonna get dressed, and then I will sit down and give some tips about moving, like just some things to think about before you move. Some life lessons that I learned clearly. Some life lessons that I learned, especially when it comes to finance. I'm going to talk about the finance side of things, and just being a little bit more prepared and using wisdom when you move to another state, another country, just anything. So hope you guys enjoy my story, and well, it's not the end of the video, Guys, I'm all ready for the day, and I thought I'd just go over a few little things that you can consider before you make your move to wherever you move. And it can be another state or it can be another country. These are just things to consider from my life experience, something that I've done. And number one I'm going to say is consider the location that you move into, right? The city, the environment. How big is the city? I think that's one thing I did not take into consideration when I was moving to Texas. You know, I knew people say Texas is big, but y'all, Texas is big. And when I tell y'all, I was living like on the other side of Texas, trying to drive to the cities for jobs and all these things. So you really want to consider that. And I was grateful that I was able to drive my car to Texas, but consider the location of the city that you're going to be in. Number two, consider job opportunities. If you can start applying for jobs before you get to the city or the state or the country that you want to go to, or if you own your own business, how is that going to shift? Like if you have a physical location in one state and you're moving your business to another state, or those are just some things to consider when you're moving. Like, how are you going to make your income? Let's just say that, right? It can be through a job, it can be through a business, it can be through anything, real estate. How are you going to make your money when you move? So you want to be able to consider that, because you need your money to be able to live, especially if this move is not your retirement move, right? So you're not living off your retirement right away, and you just want to change. Consider your income. Number three, I would say you need to consider safety. Not just when you have kids, but even if you don't have kids, you want to consider the city, especially the area that you move into. If it's safe, if it's family oriented, if you have family, is there things to do? Like, how is the city like? I would recommend going to that place and going there just for a vacation, like 3 days, a week or something, where you can be able to evaluate how it is, what's around it. And that's something that I did before I moved to Texas. I actually came to Houston in March for my spring break. I think I stayed like 4 to 5 days here, so I got to see, especially the area that I was in. It was very single ranch. It's one of the best areas in Texas, in Houston. I love the area. It was so family oriented. It was just all these beautiful houses and family and the libraries and the stores and all these good things and things that I like to do. So that's one thing you want to consider, is really your environment and getting a feel of where you're moving to. Number four, last but not least, but understanding and considering the type of environment. Picking back on what I said earlier, it's like what type of person are you, right? Are you like an outgoing person? You want to make sure it has entertainment, if you like that lifestyle, if you like the night lifestyle. Or are you like a person, for example me, I like to, again, serve, volunteer. I like to do stuff like that. I like to community build and just do activities. And Houston was a perfect place because it's so much you can do in Houston. There's so much you can do over here as far as volunteering and serving. It could be your local church, or you can just Google random things. That's what I do. Instagram, I just look up stuff, meetup groups. I joined a lot of meetup groups. I met people through that way. So just your social environment, you want to understand, you know, what you like to do, and make sure that that city and that state is satisfying the activities that you like to do. So thank you guys so much for watching my video. Thank you for sitting down and chit-chatting about my move to Houston for Philadelphia like 6 years ago. And I hope you got back. I hope you come back on my next video, because I'm also going to be going over the part that I didn't really talk about as far as my move and meeting my husband and buying a house and all these things that has been happening within the past 6 years. So thank you guys so much for watching my video, and have a great day. Bye y'all.